Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the latest edition of our open mic live stream brought to you by SuperCoach Edge? Welcome your host, whatever his name is. It is Damo. Yeah. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to SuperCoach Edge. Long time between drinks. Long time since we've done a live stream. But we figured that we owe you, all of you, the good folk of the SuperCoach Edge community, and then some, because we've been a little bit preoccupied for good reason. As you may have seen in my Team Talk video, that we have welcomed, we being my wife and I, of course, not Liam, but he was good support. But my wife and I have welcomed into the world our little bundle of joy in Felix Jackman. So, it's been a little bit of a journey. Not the smoothest, let's say that. He's going very, very well at the moment, kicking goals, and will no doubt be kicking goals as well when he does grow up, because he's kicking a fair bit in his little incubator. So he's currently in the neonatal intensive care unit. So he's going well, but just being provided a little bit of assistance in his early days. But it is an incredible time. And SuperCoach has been nowhere near the front of my mind at the moment. As fun as it is, and as much as we love it, it's kind of had to take a back seat, which is fair enough. But yes, all that to say, apologies for not having back-to-back weeks now episodes of SuperCoach Edge. I was lucky enough to find the time to get my Team Talk video out, but hopefully that ties you over. But I just figured off the back of all that we do owe you a little bit of content. So I figured, why not? Good time to do a little bit of a live and discuss obviously what happened in tonight's game, and what's to come in the remainder of round 14. I think we're at. Is that correct? I don't know. I'm operating on the minimal sleep and a lot of delirium. Let's say that. But it is always a pleasure to have you joining us. We see people are filing in now. I'm always a little bit worried around about this time. It is post game, and there's a few channels out there that do have their supporter, talkback channels. Saints TV, I think they have theirs, and a few others. But let us know if you are a Saints fan, what you thought of tonight's performance. Likewise, if you are a Doggies fan. Now, there is a little bit to say about performances from tonight. One of which is related to, Bevo is kind of a bit of an issue, but as we saw tonight, Ross Lyon was the big issue, putting a tagger on our man Labont, which restricted him for a low score, which has kind of happened the past couple of weeks since I've brought him in, as I imagine a lot of you might have done so as well, which is always annoying. It's the minute you jump on them that they tend to have their downward trend, and it's just a shit. It's a shit of a thing. But we have a few comments flowing through. Keep them coming, of course, and we will pop them up on screen. Might even put the link in the chat as well for anyone that is keen to have a little bit of a yarn. You can jump on if you feel like you want to. And of course, we have Rookie. How are you, mate? One of our guest co-hosts as well, you would have seen in recent weeks, filling in superbly, I must add, for Liam, and he says let's go, because he's a massive fan of the fact that he doesn't own Bond, and that's fair enough. Don't appreciate the laughing though, Rookie. I don't appreciate that as an owner, because it does sting, but it could sting more if you're a Saints fan, maybe. But what can I say? I'm a Carlton supporter. Ads, how are you, mate? Always joining us, and must admit as well that Ads, as we all know, he is our number one ticket holder of SuperCoach Edge, undisputed, and for good reason. I mean, he does a fair bit of extra work behind the scenes on our Discord. If you are in that, if you're not, join us. But he does do his little write-ups as well. He has offered to help us out in our Cash League rooms, where he does reviews and previews for that Cash League. We've actually got a couple running, but does it for both and finds the time to do it out of the goodness of his own heart, really, and to be involved in the production of SuperCoach Edge. So really do appreciate him, but he's gone next level because he has taken out the premium platinum membership here on the SuperCoach Edge YouTube channel. So again, we don't, we don't want to force people into doing that sort of stuff in terms of supporting us on a monetary level. But for him to do that, which he already was supporting us as a gold member, but now he's gone next level and he has gone to be now a platinum. Sorry, I can't speak. Apologies if I'm stumbling over my words and I can't speak English, but for good reason. But he has taken out the platinum membership on the channel, which again, this bloke is next level. So big shout out to you, Ads. You are an absolute champion. Rook, thank you, good sir. And speaking of which, you will be, as I am well informed, you will be welcome to the club again as a daddy, Rook. So hopefully everything is well in your world, mate, and everything is well with your partner. And let us know how far off you are of becoming another daddy, mate, because it is an exciting time. And I might grab some tips off you potentially as well. Impart me with your wisdom, kind sir. Jono, how are you, mates? Thank you, Daddy Damo. It seems to be the word, the phrase for me from here on out. There it is again. Thank you, Ads. And he adds in, I'm the captain now, which doesn't show up on the StreamYard because it is a custom emoji, but you will see it in the chat there on YouTube. Little captain's hat, which is one of the perks that you get by joining up as a SuperCoach Edge YouTube member. But again, any comments, questions as well, SuperCoach related. You don't have to just chat about me being a daddy-o, but feel free to do so if you want. But your thoughts on this weekend and the round to come. Carl, how are you, mate? Faded Butters, grabbed Little Nas, might be able to get Bont cheaper than Zach. More tired, more ass than class, but got to roll with it. Yeah, it's one of those things where I was actually considering not getting Bont a couple of weeks ago. And I just figured, I'm like, you know what? He's at a decent price point, $650 odd, and he's kind of dropped around about that price point, bottomed out to that price point in 2024. And I thought it's pretty safe. If he drops a little bit more coin, it's probably not going to be too much more. I mean, given how reliable and consistent he is, and he's not going to have a score, sub 80. But as we've seen tonight, it happens. So if you picked up Bont, which you probably will be able to get him sub 600K, geez, you'll be laughing all the way to the bank. So fortune favors the brave, and you have to be brave to fade the Bont. But I mean, I got on him early because he had good history against the Saints, and he has Richmond coming up as well. And normally Bont isn't really taggable. He's that sort of class of player, really awkward size, is that tall midfielder, big-bodied, that is very hard to negate. So full credit to Winhager, the absolute pest that he is for doing a job on him. But yeah, I just figured that, Bont would have been pushed forward and exposed potentially Winhager a little bit more. But, well, what can you do? Causa, how are you, mate? Loving tonight, no Bont. He's another one, a Bont fader, and having Dale, Kennedy, Nass on debut, and Sinclair. Carl, congratulations again on the little one. May Cooper Lord pump out a 20 posse masterclass to commemorate in style now that Supercoach Voss has decided to play him. Mate, it's been a long time coming when it comes to Cooper Lord. He's a gun. He's an absolute gun, and he should have been the staple of everyone's sides, I think, had he been played a full game in round one from then onwards, because he's class. He's a classy player. And Vossi, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? But I've spoken enough about him, so I won't go on to a rant. I'll ride the high and avoid that. Nicole, I think you accidentally pushed the enter key a little bit early, but we will let that slide. Apologies, because I do see on YouTube that it was a retracted message, but yet it doesn't retract on StreamYard, so apologies, I've added you there. JCR, how are you, mate? No Bont equals good stuff. Jeez, there's so many Bont faders here, and it's really make me feel awfully sad. Rookie, how are you? Rejoining just as the AFL season will finish. Oh, well, there you go. Very good. Good timing as well. Great timing from our boy Felix, because he chose the bye week for Carlton to come into the world. So he's a true blue bagger already. Not that he really has a choice, because the wife and I are massive Carlton supporters. So we've already got a little, not a shrine, but we've got like a little junior size Carlton jumper and a scarf set up next to his crib there in the ICU. So he's well and truly, he can see it. It's within earshot, it's within eyesight, even though he's probably got depth perception issues because he's only a few days old, but he's a bagger, and he's under a blue light as well because he's got a little bit of jaundice, which is kind of normal. But again, he's a bagger. But good to see on your side there, Rook, that good timing, great timing. So you can concentrate fully on, the daddy duties, given the season will finish. Jono, I'm almost done with supporting my mate. Try being a Carlton supporter. I know, like, St Kilda haven't won a flag since '66, so I understand that, and I can probably relate because Carlton's going to be heading that direction very, very soon. I think it's been over 30 years for us, but yeah, I don't know about the Saints. I don't know about the Saints. I don't know about Ross Lyon, really. I was very surprised that they took him back as a coach, but well, there's always next week, as they say, Jono. Always next week, mate. Nick, congrats again, Damo, on little Felix. Shall I trade in Butters or Rosie? Thinking Rosie as he's cheaper and has DPP. Well, thank you, Nick, and thank you again for all your support on the YouTube side of things, Discord, everything else, and for the kind words there. In terms of Butters and Rosie, I am going for Butters. I was faced with the exact same thing in choosing between both of these guys. I just think Butters has a high ceiling, as we know, and as we've seen in recent weeks. And Rosie, I think he can probably hold out for a little bit longer. I'm going to hold out for him for maybe a week or two. We'll see how we go. But yeah, I do like Rosie because he does have that DPP. And if you need some, I guess, surety in defense and not really need him in the midfield, it can come in handy. But I think you can't go wrong with either. I think you probably need both. Butters probably more so than Rosie. I think Butters is going to be a top 8 mid compared to Rosie being a top 8 mid. I think he's still going to be a top 6 defender, I think, Rosie, but he's kind of tapered off a little bit. I was a little bit worried last round with Farrell returning to the team. I thought Rosie might lose a bit of time in defense, but, still kind of rotating through the middle a little bit more, I think, off the back of Farrell returning. But, I do like both of those options for sure, Nick. I hope you're well as well. Vinny, congrats. Teddy Damo again. Thank you, mate. Should I get the cash from either Zorko or Lockie Neal for McKercher? No, I would say not. McKercher's not a keeper. Zorko and Lockie Neal are. I know Zorko and Neal haven't, and especially Zorko hasn't been in the best form. And I know that for a fact because I own both of these boys. But I think McKercher, you could probably pick him up next week. And in the meantime, generate some cash, whether it be through trades next week, even if you need to make a downgrade. What's his name? McCarthy, is it? The new guy for the Eagles making his debut. You can jump on him this week if you need to, make a downgrade and, really shore up some cash. But I think sacrificing, a keeper or even someone that could be on the cusp of being a keeper, if they're not in Zorko and Neal, I think you're shooting yourself in the foot a little bit too much because McKercher, he's only had, a couple of really good scores. I know that, but I'm a little bit worried about his role. We know that the crazy man at Alistair Clarkson at North has switched around Sheasel. So who's to say he does the same thing with McKercher as well? So personally, I'm holding off a little bit longer for McKercher. I know he's a cheap price point, but not for me. I just like to get a little bit more data set to give me that surety and security. But wouldn't be generating the cash via either of those boys, mate, because they could score quite well on the week that you trade them out. Causa last week went to Caldwell and Martin over Bont. There you go, very nice, mate. Yeah, I brought in Caldwell and I opted to fade Martin because my defense is virtually set. Same with my forward line, and I was a little bit iffy about Martin because I had him last year, and whilst he was good, almost needed to push the 40 disposal mark in order to get, decent enough scores. So I didn't want to go down that road again, but yeah, he's turning out to be a very good pick. And Bont will be a very juicy price point, which is very, very annoying for those of us that already have him. Steve, how are you, mate? Worst move of the year, trading DeConning, larynx injury to Romo, 179, genius, then 55, 89, 80. I know, mate, I did the exact same thing. But what can you do? I think a lot of people did it at the time as well. That larynx injury had a fair few question marks in terms of the length of time that TDK could have been on the sideline. So don't be too hard on yourself off the back of that. I think that, TDK is still a decent price, but even then I'm unsure whether or not I want to get him in my team. And Gorn's too expensive. So yeah, I don't know. In head-to-head leagues and everything else, it's annoying having Romo when other opponents don't have him because you're obviously exposed in that sense there. But I don't know. it's just, yeah, it's one of those things you chalk up to being, you know, we know with Romo, especially last year as well, he had the sort of, um, ebbs and flows and everything else in his scoring from week to week, where he'd have like a patch of games where he was like a superstar scoring really, really high. And then other games where he'd have like a low floor game, sort of 3-4 games in a row where he'd have those issues and then come good again. So hopefully that happens and he comes good and gets back to a decent enough price point where we can maybe trade him on. But yeah, frustrating. And thank you for that, Steve, as well. Cheers, mates, for the kind words. Jono, the only thing I can smile about at the moment is Captain Cummins being a superstar, mate. I had no idea the cricket was back on. Is it the World Tournament Champs, whatever it is? Cricket was in a bit of a hiatus there for a second, and then all of a sudden, bang, it's back. Jono, when can we start planning for 2026? My year has been a genuine roller coaster. It has for me as well, mate. Like I was trending very nicely, and then I'll whack at my team in a moment, actually, for those people that didn't catch my team talk, and I can go through plans and everything else and trades that I've done for this round. But yeah, I feel as though I've kind of plateaued a fair bit. I've slid out just outside the top 10K, but even though I still am making upgrades, I'm not making ground on the ranks, which is ultra frustrating. And it happened last year as well. And then I started to make ground, and then injuries hit, and then it absolutely cooked me. So I'm just wary about, taking the foot off the gas a little bit and, holding onto the trades a little bit longer, because there were other people. I remember like SuperCoach with DR, he flew past me in the ranks late in the season. I think it was the last month of the season, because I was running out of trades. I had injuries, which obviously didn't help, but he had trades up his sleeve that he could then, rectify things and really upgrade his team and come home with a wet sail. So that's kind of my strategy now. I'm just trying to just keep my powder dry, even though it's awfully tempting to trade like mad to try and get back in the game. Just be conscious of the fact that, especially across the buy rounds, that you're going to have those ebbs and flows based upon the number of primos you have out. Last week, I had 6 primos out of my team. Had a bit of a down off week. I was below par slightly. I lost about 900 ranks or something. But this week, I have a full allocation of players, a full 23, including the flex, of course. So hopefully this is a better week for me, because it will mean that obviously, 5 scores should drop out of my final top 18, and put myself in a better position to hopefully score well and climb the ranks, as is the case next week as well. I think I'm projected to have the full 23 players. So hopefully the next couple of weeks, including this week, is kind to me. But again, just hold that in perspective, mate. Ads, how are you? Could you just hold off on the deep dive into SuperCoach again until next week? Not for any particular reason. Yeah, it's probably a good couple of weeks to do it, really. The buys are always a shit, and they bite you hard. I don't think I've ever heard of someone or any coach out there that's got through all the bye weeks unscathed. There's at least one week where you have a really off week. But as I always say, like, look at your bye period as a whole. Don't look at it, in the micro sense from week to week. Look at it in terms of where you're ranked heading into the bye period and where you're ranked coming out of the bye period. And that kind of will give you that perspective of, okay, whether or not your team has improved. And, if it's been sort of held back, if you've lost rank, is it due to the fact that you've had injuries, suspensions, you've been missing more primos than what you were expecting, all that sort of stuff. So, just calm. Just keep it calm. And I'm in a zen state at the moment, which is a good thing. I've got Felix here to keep me calm. And yeah, I could probably vent to him. Not that he would respond, not that he can. And yeah, probably would tell me to shut up if you could, for good reason. But yeah, we'll be back next round, of course. Part of the reason as well that we were unable to do a weekly episode for last week was an obvious one, because my wife had just given birth. But this week, due to the short turnaround, due to the King's birthday game on Monday and then the Thursday game, it left me with 2 days to really cobble together time to do it. And I only had just enough time to do the Team Talk episode, and then trying to hit up Liam for him to find time as well in his workload, which is crazy at the moment. It was just awfully hard. So I was like, you know what? Let's just have another week off, and then we'll hit the ground running next week with both the Team Talk and the weekly SuperCoach Edge episode returning as well. So again, thank you for your patience, but yeah, we'll take that on board, Adam. And yeah, we'll see how we go. If we have another off week, maybe we should ice it a bit more. let Felix run the side. This mate, he'd do a better job than me, I reckon. He's going to be, probably every parent says this about their kids, but the way he's progressing is incredible, and he comes across as someone that's like, he's done this all before because he's like trying to remove tubes himself, and he's very handsy, which for his period of time that he has been, earthside, it's pretty incredible. Even the nurses have said, like, he's trying to turn his head, which he shouldn't have the strength in his head and muscles to do that. But yeah, I reckon he's gonna absolutely run rings around me and be an absolute brainiac when it comes to SuperCoach and numbers and everything else. Because yeah, it's not hard. I mean, it's me, but yeah, it'll be good fun to teach him SuperCoach. I reckon that's one thing I'm looking forward to as a dad, and yeah, everything else that comes with it as well. And take him to footy games. That's going to be awesome. I'll just have to tone down the amount of expletives that I use at the footy, which is going to be awfully hard because we don't want him repeating half the stuff that I say about umpires. But anyway, JCR, I only didn't get Bont last week because Roberts was out, chose Dale instead. I have been well and truly kissed. Well, and now pains me to say that I traded out Dale, what was it, 6 rounds in, might have been, when he had a little bit of a down patch, and I thought, you know what, he wasn't taking as many kick-ins as what he was, and I got bevoed at the end of the day. He got absolutely bevoed and should have held, but oh well. But yeah, he's in some good form, especially at Marvel. Marvel, he's a different beast. He just absolutely smashes it. Damien, very close to my name, which is Damon, of course, but spelt a little bit different. Interesting. I assume it's Damien. Ed Richards, better than Bont. Yeah, who would have thought? I mean, I thought Ed Richards was actually going to get tagged, in all honesty. There's very few teams that actually can tag Bont. So I would have thought that they would have gone to Ed Richards. So yeah, a bit of a surprise there from Ross DeBoss. Blue Bagger's Edge next. Yeah, you can take off a Blue Bagger's Edge as well. Good old Felix, because yeah, we've been able to do a little bit of content on that channel as well for obvious reasons. I was going to do a recap of the Essendon game. Was lucky enough to find time to go to the game whilst my wife was still recovering. She gave me the blessing to go. She was actually pretty keen to go to the game herself, but I think she was still a little bit high on painkillers. This is like a day or two after she actually gave birth. But such is the passion for the Baggers. But yeah, we will be firing up content for that as well, Damo. So yeah, good to have you on board there. And thank you again for consuming content on the Bagger side of things. Nick, looking at bringing Sam Darcy back in 2 weeks' time. Thoughts? Well, let's have a quick look at the, shall we, at the stats from tonight's game, because I, in all honesty, haven't been able to digest them because we just came back from the hospital around about half an hour, 45 minutes ago, and didn't see the final scores. So let's bring them up on screen and we'll go through them as you keep flicking through your questions, comments, banter, everything else. So let's present this as a share screen, and that should be coming up now. There it is. It's there. So there you go. Bradley Dale, 129. Ed Richards, 138. Wowzers. Bradley Williams, 129. Fraser's come good as well for those of you out there that had him and traded him. Sam Darcy, the 108. Yeah, he's someone, I think, just in reference to your question there, Nick, that we should be targeting 100%. Even in the flex, I think Ab's Magic, the Skodfather, he's looking to bring him in as an F6. I'm not a massive fan of key position players, granted, but I think he's the sort of player that you could have even off the bench, but even in a flex, because a flex is the 23rd man, obviously. It's kind of like that bit of a loophole position. So I don't mind it. I definitely don't mind it. I think he's going to drop down to, what is it, low 400s or thereabouts. I'll have to bring up my team and we can have a quick squeeze at the machinations when it comes to the pricing. But outside of that, Wangan and Miller are 119. I do like NWM, except for the fact that he doesn't really have a massive ceiling. He's very consistent, but he has to get a heap of the ball and marks and everything else in order to ton up. And unlike, I guess, Jack Sinclair, who can kind of push up the ground, kick goals, which Wangan and Miller looks as though he did this time around tonight. But Yeah, I had him in his breakout season, and yeah, it was just kind of didn't have that ceiling about him. But so I do like him at the price point. He is a good value selection, that's for sure. So I'm just trying to log in on another screen here. So continue flicking through your comments and everything else. Hopefully I can remember my password. No, I cannot. Are we in? We are in. Okay. So let's have a quick look at this. So this is my site at the moment. Doesn't look too good with the Bont 66 as my VC, but full array of green dots, which is good to see. Now, Darcy, we wanted to have a look at. So where is he, Sam Darcy? 497 on the dot, 191 break even. Let's see if we can use the plugin. Here we go for projected score. So what did he score here? Was it 108? So this projection plugin isn't the most reliable, but we will do it. So if he scores a 109 against the Tigs, off the back of the 108 that he scored tonight, he will drop down to 444.9K. So not bad. I mean, what did he start the season at? 427. So yeah, and he's shown a real nice ability to score well. At 526.9 as well. If we can get him for what's that, 680K cheaper than his highest price point that he was at before he got injured, geez, we'll take it. We'll take it. But yeah, it comes down to how many trades you got at the moment, I think. That's kind of the big thing now that's dictating who we go for and what's holding us back. But I do like him, Nick. We'll flick through the comments, questions, and then we'll continue on with the scores from tonight. Hawksy, how are you, mate? Never paying 600K for anyone again. I said that last year, but the exception to the rule is for a Bont. And he's the only player that I've jumped on that's been 600K plus. So I just excuse me, I never thought that he would drop below 600K. So that was kind of my thinking behind that. But part of the reason why I opted to wait for Butters, as a lot of people did, and are now benefiting from him at that cheap price point. Ads, Ross Lyon Presser heated about crowds. Interesting. What did he say, Ads? Let us know. Hawksy start Cherry and Gore next year, and otherwise he runs bargain starter or rookie. Well, going into this season, we kind of had that similar thought pattern about, getting on Cherry and getting on TDK, or maybe one of Cherry and Gorn. So I think those of us that jumped with TDK out of the gates, we've been unlucky with the fact that he was out through injury. I think a lot of people, like myself, would have been happy enough to keep him because Marshall I never really trusted, but I needed to off the back of TDK being out. But on retrospect, could we have held? Yes, but we didn't know how long he was going to be out for. And, I guess with the flex, you could probably take a little bit of a risk and a gamble to do it. In that moment when we brought in Marshall, it looked like a bloody, incredible move because he smashed out that 170-odd score. But now we're kind of paying for it because Marshall's not reliable and the Saints aren't going too well. Hawksy, what crowd? Why didn't Windy move to Richards though? They got slapped. I know. That's the other thing that annoys me is that coaches are very stubborn. They very rarely move tags off players to put on another player if they're getting absolutely cut up by the second player. So it's a shit of a thing and it annoys me. That's for sure. But it's Ross Lyon. That's Ross Lyon, Hawksy, really. JG, how are you, mate? Sucks. Sucks not earning NAS. Yeah, exactly. I know what you're getting at there, mate. But yeah, and really, I could use that for it sucks to own Bont. Sucks not to own Dale and Richards and Darcy. There's everyone else. We could probably apply that sentence to as well. Ads, I meant to hold off, sir, because we are up against each other. Oh, and the cashies. Give me a break, please. Don't worry. I don't think I'm going to do too much damage this week. Yeah, we're facing off in both cashies. That's crazy. Craziness. SuperCoach guides just want us to face off in the same week. They could have spread it out. That would have been nice. Damien, thoughts on Matthew Kennedy playing with his ex-teammates Jack Carroll, Liam Stocker, and himself. How did Jack Carroll go tonight? I mean, he was the sub, wasn't he? So, yeah, only played 29% game time. I like Jack Carroll. I really wish that we would have kept him. He's a good depth player, but I hope he can forge a bit of a career at the Saints. But what happened with Kennedy tonight? 29 disposals, 2 goals. Okay, he did well. He did very well. Jeez, Carlton, idiots. So dumb. So dumb. They got to clear out a whole heap of people in the back room there. JCR, does the Doc keep the halfback role if Blues lose a few in a row? I think he stays there regardless, JCR, mate. As a baggers man, I've always said that he should have been playing off halfback. Even at the start of the year when they wanted to trial Ollie Hollins in that position, I was of the opinion that I think there should have been a rotation with Ollie and Doc between halfback and in the on the wing. But just Voss being Voss and everything else, it's just a classic, absolute classic. So let's continue. I think my camera's gone crazy for some reason, so apologies if that is looking pixelated, which I think it is. I have no idea why. But yeah, sorry, JCR, in short, mate, I think you will keep that role. Skitsy, thank you, mate. Thank you so much. It's an incredible feeling. That is for sure. G'day, Globes. How are you, mate? Hopefully you're well. Hawksy was a Darcy owner until it knee, and suddenly the season wasn't so fun. At least I started NAS. There you go. So you win some, you lose some. That's SuperCoach for you. Ads was only half listening. A reporter made a comment about the lack of crowd, and Ross Bitten, when he smartass wrote into going back at the reporter. He's kind of like a bit of a Donald Trump in that sense, isn't he? It's one who didn't say fake news. But yeah, what was the crowd tonight? Because I mean, it's one thing to put St Kilda and the Bulldogs in prime time, but it's also another thing to put them on a Thursday night when traditionally crowd numbers are down because it's so hard for people to get to games straight after work. Obviously, they need to work the next day. And even those supporters that live, countryside, they're not going to make the trek in to watch their team play at Marvel, mind you, not at the MCG, but at Marvel. On a Thursday night. So, and weather's not the best, obviously. So I don't know what the AFL are expecting, but my wife made a good comment on the way home. I listened to it on the radio, and she said that like the AFL, if you ask them, they would be like, oh, but the broadcast numbers would be perfect because they don't give a shit about ticket sales, attendances in person. They just, all they care about is pandering to the broadcasters. They've paid big dollars and they're kind of repaying them in a sense in terms of viewership, because viewership, I imagine, for Thursday night games would be just as high as what they get on a Friday night. So just business, just really business, stupid stuff from the AFL, but don't know what they were thinking here. I think maybe on a Friday night, you could probably allow it, but on a Thursday night, a little bit dicey. Let me just see if I can find the crowd numbers. Sorry, someone's put it in the chat, I think. Where are you? Yes, you did. Cause, I thank you, mate. 20,502, which I heard on the radio. Daisy Thomas was saying that it's the lowest crowd between these two sides since 1999, I think it was. I think I heard correctly, between both of these sides. So not good at all. Causa, you've said, crazy to think Geelong is the only team to tag Dale this year. I have said that numerous times. And that was part of the reason why I was quick to consider moving him on, because I thought he was going to be the tag target, everything else, and just hasn't happened. Like, it's so easy to put like a tag on a halfback flanker. I know he takes kick-ins and stuff, but outside of that, he's always trying to find space. The Dog's always trying to get the ball in his hand. And he's a really good distributor. He pushes up the ground, much like Sinclair, who gets tagged himself as well. So I don't know what opposition coaches are doing, really. It's perplexing. Hawksy, with all the talk about how good this year's draft was, how was the rookie crisis so bad? If there is talk that next year's draft pool isn't nearly as good, then maybe we're in strife next year too. Well, I think the first batch of rookies that we had were actually quite good. But there were players still that were being subbed or starting sub, like Draper's definitely one from the Crows, which is awfully frustrating. And yeah, it just seems as though like there's players that are being played for a week or two and then dropped. And I'm like, what are they doing? It makes sense to do that late in the season when they have the regular 23 or 22 players that are out through injury and suspension, like we saw with Connor Nash. He was out suspended for the Hawks. Huswaite came in, Nash came back. Huswaite lost his role, not directly between both of those guys, but just to that point, it's like guys that are making their debut and playing late in the season. There's no surprise that if they lose their spot compared to those that start in the team from round one or opening round and then lose their spot like within a couple of games. It doesn't really make sense. But yeah, it's been very much a strange one, Hawksy. And hopefully you're able to navigate it with a few alternative options like a Marich and a few others out there that have made a little bit of cash that aren't, genuine rookies or cash cows. Aaron, how are you, mate? Zorko or Merritt for Butters? I wouldn't be trading either for Butters, mate. If I had to choose, it would be Zorko, I think. But it comes down to team dependency, where you're most exposed if you are to trade out a player from either defense or midfield. But I would try and find money elsewhere, mate. Just McCarthy, who's at the Eagles, will be making his debut this round. 99K rookie, bottom priced. You should be able to trade even someone like a Matt Carroll from Carlton, for example, for McCarthy, which will net you close to around about 90 to 95K, roughly. So, yeah, there's alternative methods to try and get buddies in, I think, that are still viable options. Hawksy, come on down, Jagger Smith and Josh Smiley. Yep, those are definitely two. I think Jagger's going to be, the Levi Ashcroft of this year for next year. Global, how much does Windy go up this week after he's won 20? Did he score 120? 120? What do you mean, mate? Were you talking about Windhager? Am I missing? I'm missing something there, mate. I don't know who you're referring to there. Apologies. I've got a brain that is sapped of restful sleep. I can't even talk. Aaron, with Durham out and no mid in, could it mean Merritt plays 100%? You'd hope so, mate. You'd definitely hope so. If you're a Bombers man, that's one thing you'd be hoping for and crossing your fingers. And that's the other thing that annoys me this season. Is there's so many strange moves that coaches have made with players being pulled out of their natural positions that they absolutely excel in and putting them in random positions. Like Merritt's definitely one. Obviously doing that with Sheasel as well. Who else is there? There's been other players as well that I can't think of. Let us know in the comment section if any come to mind. But yeah, there's been a few players that have been played at a position, and it's the minute you jump on them that they start being played in dumb positions. Marich is definitely one, I think, for Eagles, especially with McGovern still out of the team. He's playing that distributor role quite well. Yeah, just so many things to navigate this season. G'day, G-Bags. Hey, Damo, thoughts on who we should prioritise for the run home, McKercher or Mills after his bye? I personally am targeting Mills. From what we've seen, I mean, limited sample size, I think he's a very good scorer, has obviously been in the game for longer than McKercher and has better historical scoring compared to McKercher. However, both of these guys, I think, can run into issues in terms of their scores being capped based upon where they play, their role in the team. Mills, is he play off half back? Does he play in the middle? McKercher, he's been sort of swung between wing, a bit of half back in recent times where he does score well, as we know. But, will they have that consistent role going forward to score well enough to warrant trading into your team? So for me personally, I'm going for Mills, but I do like McKercher. I am willing to wait another week on McKercher and really assess things after that. But even so, the only thing that is factoring in is he's a cheap price point, much like Mills. So I think he's a DPP as well, which is very handy. But yep, don't mind either, mate. Brian, into bed at 1 a.m. for many country fans. Yeah, spot on, mate. As I was mentioning earlier, for those that are traveling on a Thursday night to head to the game, to drive back home, can take 2.5, maybe 3 hours, because games finish at around about 10:30, 10:45. By the time you get out of the ground, it's 11 o'clock. You jump in the car, 2-hour drive. That's already 1 a.m. So fair point, mate. And it's something that irks me as, a supporter of the AFL, is that it seems like such a I guess, logical thing to us as fans that like you shouldn't be playing Thursday night games. Like, I think they should rotate it definitely. But as a Carlton supporter, for example, we've played, I think it would have been maybe 4 or 5 Thursday night games already, which is, yes, it's good you get to see them first up, but it's an annoyance when you obviously have to work the next day. You know, if you're working not in the city and you have to commute in, the traffic's absolutely shit house. And, you know, likewise as well, public transport isn't the most reliable. So, you know, you have all those options as well, all those factors. And, you know, it's not viable. And it's virtually turns the AFL as a product into purely, you know, being viable for broadcast and not for the fans that attend live. So I think that, as I said earlier, the AFL don't give a shit. You know, they're obviously got money in their pocket from broadcasters, and the broadcasters getting an instant return upon their investment. But you know, it's just the business side of things, which really does annoy me. And the AFL take fans for granted and take the piss out of fans more often than not, I think. You know, even random start times as well, even games that start over in the WA, like 10 o'clock, just to cater for those of us, in Vic and vice versa. Like if we have a game here that doesn't suit the local fans on the other side of the country, and they have footy on at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's just ridiculous. So you think it's a really simple thing to really get game times and everything correct, but they don't. They stuff things up, much to our displeasure. Sinan, how are you, mate? Who would have thought Saints versus Doggies on a cold Thursday would have a low crowd? Yep. AFL. Yeah, what are they thinking? Adam, one Thursday game for me this year. There you go. Is that for the Hawks, or are you talking about for you attending ads? Because could have sworn the Hawks had more than one, but maybe not. One Thursday night game for me. Oh, sorry. Apologies. You did retract that, and I've popped it up on screen. One Thursday night game for me this year. Finished at 5. Got to the game at halftime pretty much. Traffic getting out horrible, and home at 12:30 after the drive up. The Hume Thursdays are TV night. Yep, exactly. And I think that's the other thing as well, is that fans, once they attend their first Thursday night game, then realize how much of a shit it is to try and get into the game first and foremost for the first bounce, but then also to get home at a reasonable hour, which is impossible. Even if you're, living in the outer suburbs, like I live in Wollert, which is near Craigieburn, Epping area, for those of you familiar with it in Victoria. And, down the Hume, we still get traffic as well. And like traffic on the way in as well is a shit of a thing. Then trying to find parking, which is just so shit in Melbourne in general. There's Wilson car parks and stuff, which we have been using in the past when we have played at the MCG. But there is one we were using, and they've actually changed the time now. So you have to get your car out of the car park by 10 o'clock, which is still when the game is playing. So you can't park there. And it's really difficult to get into the game, to find parks, to get back. Yeah, it is an annoyance. Corey, Ted Closey getting subbed and keep getting dropped too. He looks, he's another rookie, mate. Yeah, spot on. Sinan, some solid options next year, though. Expect Jacob Smith should be back around round 1. Yep. Some of this year's overlooked players should get more game time next year. And there is always an injury. There always is an injury crisis. The mid-season. So let me open the door because I've got the heater on and it's absolutely cooking me to a bloody roast. Whew, let's get some air in here. And it's playing it with my asthma, so apologies for the coughing. Sinan, some solid options next year. Yep. Always an injury crisis. I think, this time of year as well, we're going to have those players that have been picked on mid-season draft. Like as we'll see this round, McCarthy will play, and there will be others as well. So I think those are probably the last bastion of rookies that we can kind of hang our hat on and our hopes on. But yeah, hopefully they just stick around on the team. But McCarthy probably should, given he was taken number 1 in the mid-season rookie draft, and it is the Eagles because they need as much help that they can get at the moment. Causa Bond in 3 weeks going to be 120. Going 120 will be 548. Jeez, that hurts me. Sinan, biggest surprise this year has been the number of players around the 3 to 350k mark at the start who have gone up. Being the year of the second mids and roving players, yeah, it has. Fair few have gone up. Even changing in roles, positions, all that sort of stuff with Marich from the Eagles, for example. JCR, Whitfield to half forward. Are you talking about? Oh, yes, yes. Sorry, yes. Whitfield to half forward. Again, that happened the week that I picked him up. It just annoys the shit out of me. It's like, what are you doing? Play the bloke like in his best position. Like Leon Cameron was doing that at the back end of his coaching tenure because he was losing the plot and he was just like trying anything to try and unearth, a diamond in the rough. Just so dumb. Nick, is McKercher worth thinking about for flex D7 or M9 or too risky due to Clarko? If you're thinking of him as a bench player, D7 or M9 or flex, I think you can definitely do it. Because the flex is virtually like a D7, M9, R3, F7. Because if he scores poorly on a given week, it drops out more often than not. So I do like him off the back of that, Nick. So I don't mind him as an option. Hawksy, the comments are piling up, so we will fly through them. As a Dons fan, I wouldn't guarantee Merritt plays mid. There you go. Spoken from a fan. He moved back because the likes of Redmond had to play tall. Bringing Archer May in means Perkins may have more CBAs. Interesting. Blackiston played key back last week in the VFL and is also in, though. So you just have to see if he lines up in the middle first bounce. Fair point. Dons have a couple of small forward mids from the academy to draft next year. Will they score as bad as Kako? Yes. Will I still pick them? Also, yes. Yeah, that was the thing. Like we spoke about Kako in the preseason, Liam and I, and the fact that any small forward, like Watson probably broke the mold in 2024 in terms of scoring as well as he did, or averaging as well as he did in his first year, because in that role, you just they ebb and flow. And it's just like they're dependent upon kicking goals. Unless they're a tackling pressure forward primarily, they're not going to score well or consistently well enough to warrant having in a team, and especially when it comes to being a cash cow. So, yeah, a bit of an annoyance, but we kind of, I was based into it in terms of the popularity of his ownership, and I didn't want to miss out on the fact. Like I didn't want to waste a trade, given the majority of the competition already owned him. So I was kind of, covering all bases there in a sense. But it's one of those things. G-Bags, thoughts on the following midfield mid-price options: Bergman, Winhager, McAuliffe, Ollie Hollands, Cooper Lord, and Perryman. Well, they're all mid-price options for a reason, mate. Winhager, I'm not a massive fan of. I think his tagging can really put a dent in his scoring. McAuliffe has, I think, his ship's virtually sailed, I think, as a cash cow. And I don't think he's going to be a keeper or anything to really warrant selection. Bergman is a bit of a change in role now, playing in the midfield, so I don't mind him as a left field option. Ollie Hollands, probably not so much, still playing in the wing at times. Which is kind of no man's land at various stages and kind of can put a dent in his scoring. Cooper Lord, I'm a massive fan of, but again, probably at a price point now where that ship has sailed. And I just don't trust Michael Voss. He does have a contested game, which is really built for SuperCoach, which I love. And he loves a cuddle as well, which is also a bonus. But yeah, I just don't trust Michael Voss. And Perryman, we all saw what he delivered when he was changed out of his role off halfback, and even in the midfield when he was made to be a tagger. So, yeah, I'm not a massive fan of all of those, mate. But Bergman's probably the one that you could look at. Let's have a quick squeeze at how he's gone in recent games. Scored the 128 in the weekend, 104 prior to that, 66 and 104. So I don't mind Bergman, I will admit. That probably will continue because it's continued even with Butters coming back to the team as well, which is even more of a bonus. The other thing that might put a dent in his game is if Farrell's return in defence prompts Hinkley to then put Rosie back into the middle, which might put a dent in Bergman's CBAs. That's the only thing I think about, but I do like probably him the best of the lot that you've mentioned there, G-Bags. Causa, my first Thursday night game will be when North play the Dogs for the 100-year anniversary in a few weeks, something like round 17. Again, that's going to be a TV game, that one. We'll call it TV game, not in terms of spectacle, but because I don't think many people will be going along. Hawksy, Bonds VCC privileges are in timeout for the foreseeable future. Yeah, fair point. Nick, don't ignore my McKercher question as you now answered. Sorry, apologies. I have been twiddling my thumbs virtually when it comes to the comments, and I've only just got to this one now. But no, all good. All good. It was good to cover ground on that again. Sinan, Honestly, for weeknight games, prime time is significantly more reliable than driving in. Oh, sorry, public transport. I live not far from you and would rather go to Craigieburn or Mernda and take the train down than have to drive. Yeah, it is a shit of a thing. It is. I mean, the thing with Craigieburn line is the fact that you need to change lines in order to get the line that goes through to Jollymont, the MCG. But Mernda, where it is the line that I used to live pretty much next to in Reservoir, that takes you direct to Jollymont. And I used to always catch that when I was working at Collingwood as well. Jump off Jollymont and walk to the Holden Centre as it was back then on Olympic Boulevard. But yeah, public transport is probably more reliable than driving in, which says a fair bit because it's they're not reliable at the best of times. G-Bags, thoughts on the following VC options for this week? Holmes, Baz Lenker, and Tom Green have C on either Brayshaw or Cherry. Let's have a quick squeeze. So Holmes, Baz Lenker, and Tom Green. So Baz Lenker, he's projected for 144. The Dons, he scored 105, 95, and 72 against in his past three. Obviously, been in incredible form. A little bit worried about that hamstring awareness I think he had, which prompted the week off, if they want to call it that. And it wasn't due to the fireside meeting with Andrew Dillon. But he's definitely an option. Holmes is another one as well. Projected quite well. Scored a 110, 112, and 103 in his past three against the Dons. And Tom Green's the other one as well. So Tom Green, not the comedian. A bit of a tougher matchup against the Lions. 119, 159, and 77. So not bad. It's a bit of a tough one, mate. A bit of a tough one. I mean, you could probably choose either of the two Cats players. Essendon, without Durham there to really tag, do they use Setterfield potentially? I would think they probably would in a little bit of a run with roll with Baz Lenker. Yeah, it's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think Brayshaw or Cherry should get the job done with the C. But if you wanted to, take a little bit of a risk, you could probably do it based upon the least VC'd player of the lot there. Baz Lenker probably might be one who people might fade because he's coming off that hamstring awareness, maybe. Hawksy Bergman will look good in a Dons jumper next year. He's been chased by a fair few teams: in Kilda, Essendon, Western Bulldogs, Carlton, to name a few. Manor, considering starting Ash next year over Whitfield, feel like he's the main distributor now, and with natural progression at his age, he's going to take the next step. What do you think? Yeah, I think Whitfield, I think he's shown that he is more impactful off halfback. He doesn't really, because he has time and space in that role, and I think he's averaging like 80% disposal efficiency across his year, which is across his career, which is incredible. Pinpoint passing, and more often than not, those are kicks. I think his kick to handball ratio is like double the amount of handballs. Double the amount of kicks that he has handballs. So, really is a good player, and I think it's more so out of necessity. From what Kingsley has said, is that they've kind of had to shift things around based upon need. But I think Whitfield will go back into defence, and I think Ash and Whitfield can coexist. We've seen it in other teams as well that they have been able to do that, like Sinclair, NWM, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I think Ash is going to be he's a very good option, but I still think Whitfield, for me, he's just an incredible passer. Lockie Ash is, what is he? 23 years old. He's going to be 24 in 8 days. There you go, to be exact. Are you from Reservoir, Mick? Very good, mate. Very good. Yes, I grew up in Reservoir and made my way out here. Would have been, gee whiz, been up here for a few years now, that's for sure. Brian, Geelong have a good run from now on. Also, a few games at home, yeah, it also helps. Any left field Cats picks? I can see Stewart going well if he stays. Yeah, Stewart's probably the only one, I think, that I'd be looking at as a left field option from the Cats. Outside of that, I mean, Holmes is definitely one if you don't own him. Baz Lenker, everyone owns. So, yeah, it'd probably be Stewart and Holmes. Indeed, my lad. Hawksy Ash only 23 is crazy. Yeah, he's definitely going to be either a starter or top six. He will be. He will be. Now I might pop the link in if we can find it. Actually, where is it? Invite. I'll pop the link in the chat here. So if you are keen to jump on, because this is the open mic night, feel free to jump on. Let me shut the door because the heater now is off. Thank you. The heater is off, courtesy of the wife. What? Oh, okay. Well, heater's not off, and I might suffocate. But Crunchy NX, you've said those who didn't jump on post by licking their lips, I broke the bank for him. Yeah. Yep. I didn't exactly break the bank, but it meant that I used a fair bit of bank that I had put aside for the one player, which is annoying. Now, I've popped up on screen there. That is the link if you want to jump on, have a bit of a yarn. We might wrap up the stream in about 15 minutes potentially. So if anyone is keen, feel free to jump on and we will have a bit of a yarn. With that, let's have a look at our team. So the moves that I did make, I've only used the 2 trades, and I've brought in Butters and Zach Johnson from the Dons. Out goes Lindsay, who's maxed out in price in terms of being a cash cow, and Clay Hall didn't earn a recall, and they've recalled quite a number of players now, the Eagles. That says to me that Clay Hall's on the outer. So I think I'm going to bite the bullet, get rid of him. And yeah, there's no one else around about that price point of Hall that I could trade, because it leaves me with 3.3K. So Clay Hall is just perfectly priced to bring him in to Zach Johnson. Now, outside of that obviously gives me another primo. So it means that I have my midfield. So I've got Bont, Neal, Butters, Chera, Sarong, Sheasel, Caldwell, and Dacos. But what I will be doing is targeting a merit. So that means that I'll be shifting Sheasel back to defense, which gives me a full defense, full allocation there. And it means that I've got virtually one spot to upgrade in the midfield. And then up forward, we have a full forward line. Baslenka, Track, McRae, Rankin, Daniel, and Warner. And so we only really have the flex to upgrade there. So we are targeting the man named Mills at 357K. Vicentini should go up in cash a little bit more and bridge that gap. But he will virtually be a straight swap. And he will allow me to get Mills in without sort of breaking the bank. And then I might need to do a couple of trades to afford. Actually, I will to bring Merritt into my team, which will bring me down to 5 trades for the remainder of the year in terms of any injuries and whatnot. But happy enough with my team. It's very frustrating the fact that they tend to play well one week and then off the next, but they never play the primos in my team well on the same week, which is frustrating as shit. But anyway, is what it is. Hawksy, I had well and truly enough cash to get Bont that week because of Marich and Flynn, but wow, that cash would be incredibly useful right now. Yeah. I mean, I'm not regretting it because, I've kind of, as I said, I've only really got 2 spots to fill. And it's virtually a sideways trade for Vicentini to Mills in my flex. And then it'll be, a merit into my team as well. It might be ideal to get rid of Marshall at some point, but that might be later in the season. I don't want to be finding myself in the position that I did last season where I was down to, I think it was 3 trades in 6 rounds, and I copped a barrage of injuries. I had like Gorn being out the same week as Took Miller, who I think broke his jaw or arm or something. Then I had McKercher, who was my 23rd player on the bench as my sort of DBP. He had to come on full time. Rankin, he got injured or suspended rather. Then he came back and got injured himself. So I only had him for, I think, 1 week of the last 6 rounds of the season when I actually brought him in. So that was just shit luck. And by that stage, and I think I traded out Tom Green, it might have been hamstring injury potentially. I can't recall now, but yeah, I was down to no trades with like 2 weeks to go, and I had to rely upon rookies and gobble a donut or two as well, which isn't ideal. So I want to try and keep, at least for the last 6 rounds of the season where I've got almost a trade every single week, just in case. But yeah, I feel your pain there, Hawksy. Basilenka, Clay Hall might play. Yes, I did notice there that he's got the little extended bench icon on his name, but I'm not too phased. I mean, I could always try and swing things around and potentially trade Carroll instead of Clay Hall. That's the option as well. I mean, they play the last game of the round, West Coast and Carlton, so it allows me that flexibility to do that if need be. But yeah, we'll see how we go. Otherwise, I could even just reverse it and maybe, yeah. I mean, you can swing things around and get around it, but yeah, that's something to think about. Now, I spoke about in terms of having a full allocation of players for this round. If we have a look at next round, I have obviously Track and Rankin out of the team, or for the bye. And then I've got Warner coming back and also Dacos as well. So it's virtually Dacos and Warner in the team for Track and Rankin who go out. So it covers the same amount of primos that I'm losing as I am gaining. So I should be in a good position there as well. But round 16, I think a lot of people will be in the same boat. It's slim pickings. So we will potentially look to trade on a few more players. We may have to rely upon some extra rookies in round 16. But yeah, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 players at the moment before trades. So yeah, it's not the best. We could count Carroll, but we don't know if he's even going to play this week, let alone in round 16. But McCarthy should be in our team, so he will play, you would think. So that could give us 18, maybe even 19 if Carroll plays. But outside of that, like Boxall, he can't find a spot in the team for St Kilda. Simpson's out for a little while as well, long-term injury, and Gray's out for a fair while as well. In fact, for the remainder of the year. So yeah, there's that to think about. But let us know how you're shaping up for the remainder of the rounds, the bye rounds. How are you looking for this round in terms of the number of players you have available versus those missing, as well as those in round 15 and 16? I'm always keen to hear what you are doing and how you're placed. Azza, if I take your advice and wait a week on Butters, my trade will be Brock to Naz, Gray to Johnson. Naz, who's Naz? Are you talking about Naziah? Because he's already played. Gray to Johnson and Carroll to McCarthy. Leaves me with 170k, 7 trades and 2 upgrades to get to 23 primos. I don't mind that, mate. I don't mind that at all. I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams out there as well that don't have the trades or cash, especially considering we've had a bit of an issue with cash generators and cash cows that might not be able to bring in, 23 primos. They might just cap out at 22 and maybe run a little bit of a riskier type player at 23. So, if you're in a position where you're able to get out and out primos across each of the positions on field as well as in the flex for the 23rd man, you are in a very good position. So that's something that I'm kind of trying to aim for with some extra trades up my sleeve, and hopefully others can, maybe have players that don't score as well, and I can sort of get a bit of a jump, bit of a leap, and maybe I can dodge some injuries with the trades and whatnot. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things go. You've said I already did the Nasai trade before tonight. Gotcha. Well, what you're saying there, I don't mind, mate. I don't mind. I'd much prefer to keep. Was it your question? You were saying to keep. Sorry, to trade one of Zorko or Neil. Was that you? Or was it someone else? But Gray, I think you need to get rid of, unless you're going to use him as a loophole, or if his defense forward DPP comes in handy, I think, yeah, probably look to move him on. So Gray to Johnson or a Gray to McCarthy, for example, that's going to net you about 80k, so or 75k roughly. Carroll to McCarthy. Yep, if Carroll doesn't play, you can definitely do that as well. So don't mind those moves, mate. Ads jumped off Daniel for Warner. Couldn't listen to myself and not sideways till I had a full side. Yeah, that's one thing that I stuck by. And yeah, it's holding me in good stead. But again, you win some, you lose some. Like, look at me. I went for Bont a couple of weeks ago. Those that haven't, those that held off, they're benefiting from. So yeah, you can't get every single move correct. Such is the nature of SuperCoach. Ads. I've heard the 22 primo on a cheap swing for the fences flex, but feel that's more a running out of money trades option. Yeah, it is. Yeah, as I said, it's those teams that don't quite have the funds, accrued across the entirety of the season. Those that may have missed out on, say, a left field generator, cash generator in, say, a Marich or an SPP. For those of us that didn't jump off him early like I did, there are a few other players out there that you could probably put in that same basket as well. But if you were someone that was going for those traditional cash cows and the cash well has run dry, you may just have to settle for, as you've said there, a swing for the fences flex compared to an out-and-out primo in the flex. The main thing is, I think, as long as you've got your 22 set, you could probably go for someone like that. That's a bit more of a, high standard deviation player. Because end of the day, they're in the flex. If they score poorly, they'll fall out anyway of your best 22 scorers. So, yeah, I think that thinking is sound. As I think I'm resigned to not getting Gorn this year. Too expensive. Yeah, he is way too expensive. There is no way I'm breaking the bank for him. Like, I saw back a few weeks ago, people were jumping on him when he was, what is he still now? He's a touch under 700K now, but will drop in price. I mean, it was seen it across the journey. I know he scored tons dating back to round 4, but he's going to have a down game. He's going to have a down week, and it will come. Like, it happened to Bont, happened to Butters, and you'd hate to jump on him now, which a lot of people were doing when he was over 730K in price. Look at that. His ownership since then was 22%, all the way up to 30%, and he's now at 32, nearly 33%. So people virtually would have had to have used, cash that they could have put towards 2 upgrades. Instead, they've put that in putting on the head of a player that they're trading to Gorm, which I think is craziness. Ads, whoever is close to winning the Coleman, chuck them in flex. Yeah, it could be Darcy. It really could be Darcy. I don't think he's going to win the Coleman. He's had too many weeks out, of course, but he was in that position before he got injured. So there is, some logic and thinking behind that, Ads. I don't mind that, but he's probably another one that is, I think, Darcy, that is well suited for the flex. Key position player. If the Dogs midfield get absolutely torched, limited supply to Darcy in the forward line, may not score well on a given week. So, yeah, he's something to think about. But, we all remember last season when it came to Curnow, albeit he was injured, rolled his ankle, and that inhibited him for, a number of weeks. But, yeah, it's something to be worried about. I think Jeremy Cameron was another one. Actually, yes, sorry, Ads, you've said, except Jazza is 500K already or something like that. 100% cheeky bet of Darcy to win the Coleman next year. Looks good. He is a freak. Cheeky bet. Yeah, of course. But Jezza was another one I think a lot of people jumped on late last year, might have been, or might have been the year before, and absolutely torched them as well because he was having low games after they traded him in. So again, that's part of the reason why I'm not a massive fan of key position players. But in the flex, that offers a little bit of extra security there. That's for sure. Now, ladies and gents, we might wrap things up in a moment, but we'll whack in the link there again if anyone is keen for a little bit of a chin wag. Otherwise, we will wrap things up. I am a little bit sleep deprived, and I do have a little bit of editing work that I have to polish off for the pies of all clients as well. So might jump into that before I hit the hay. As I got Libba in last week, a little worried. Do you think Treloar affects him? So annoyed I didn't pay 7K more and get Richards. Well, I thought Libba was going to play in defense this round because he did last week. And with Treloar, I thought Libba would have been pushed out of the middle again and played off half back. Didn't happen. Treloar was actually, I think, pushed out of the CBAs more than what Libba was. So you've been kissed a little bit, I think, as. So, yeah, I'd be probably a little bit worried if you got him. Eh, eh. Is what it is, mate. Is what it is. Players getting played out of position. It's just par for the course here. And SuperCoach in 2025. Ads, I chin wag, but there's a snoring wife right next to me. Not great, right? That would be incredible radio, actually. It might be a nice little sort of alternative to white noise ads. Mm, mm. I'm probably the one doing the snoring next to my wife, more than anything. And that's probably one thing that I've noticed that my son has inherited from me is he sleeps with his mouth open, which he's going to be a snorer. He's going to be a snorer. So apologies, young lad, that he has inherited that from me because it's not the best. My sinuses are absolutely cooked. But outside of that, let's have a quick look at the rest of the games to come. And of course, we have the Hawks up against the Crows, Brisbane up against the Giants, Dons against the Cats, North Melbourne against Freo, Port against Melbourne, and West Coast against Carlton. I think in terms of captains, vice captains, if you've already burnt your vice captain on a bond, Cherry is probably a good option just because he's incredible. I know he's going to be going up against the two-headed beast in Jacko and Shrek Darcy, little Hodor, but he's a freak. We know he gets a fair bulk of his scoring through his tackling, and does some pretty nice things around the ground as well. So he's my captain. Outside of that, yeah, I don't know. Holmes, yes, potentially. Baslenko, as we spoke about earlier. Yes. I'm thinking plans for next round. What I'm looking to do is hopefully bring in Mills via Vicentini. Let us know what your plans are for next round, if you have them up your sleeve. But there are other mid-season draftees as well. There's McCarthy. So, you could top up with some extra cash cows, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's it, ladies and gents. We might leave things there. We've been going for, what's that? Nearly an hour and 15. So a little bit longer than what I anticipated, but it was a pleasure to have all of you join me here for the one of the rare lives that we've had. One of the rare lives. And it is always a good time to do it, and none the better than being sleep deprived and in a delirious state. So as I mentioned earlier, we will be keen to jump back on the horse. Regular programming will resume in round 15, next round, which will be the last or second last bye round. So look out for that. Team talk will be coming thick and fast as well. That's probably one thing that if we're ever strapped for time, I will always put out a team talk because it's quite easy to speak about my team and everything else. But we have a comment here from Ads. You said TDK score against Flynn this week. Tempted to use my last boost, but would be pretty much cementing finishing with 22 only. Yeah. TDK, I mean, you probably just look at what Flynn has conceded to previous opponents. If you just go to DFS Australia, I'll quickly bring this up on screen now. Now, you might need to be a DFS member, season pack member. Where are we? I've just got to log in. Sorry, my apologies. Let me log in. And we are in. The defensive eight positions. Here we go. Last 10 for SuperCoach. Flynn. So he's conceding by far the most to opposition ruckman. Now, I don't know if you can see this on screen. No, here we go. This is it here. This is the scores that he's been conceding to opposition ruckman. Cherry conceded 153, Stanley 81, Blitzstaff 69, but that was kind of a two-tier ruck there for the Cats. 161 for Riley O'Brien, 179 to Rowan Marshall, 84 to Nank, 198 to Max Gawn, 161 to Lloyd Meek, 118 to TDK, and 107 to Kieran Briggs. So there you go. Last time they played, TDK scored a 118. So you'd probably say that will be his minimum. But yeah, I do very much get, the conundrum that you got there, Ads, because if it means you've only got 22 primos that you're finishing with. Is it worth it? Yeah, I don't know. I do like Teddy Katie's current price point, I will admit. I might have to think about it, but yeah, I just can't do it, unfortunately. But yeah, you'll probably score around about 120, 125 plus, you would say. Costa traded out Campo instead of Campbell, Gray, or Gross to get Angus Clark on field. Not sure how I feel. Well, you had Campo still. Well, Campo looks as though he's not going to play for a fair while, so you can probably, give yourself a little bit of a, stay of leave there, because yeah, you can't say that Campbell Gray was going to do his ACL, and Gross, is going to be in and out of the team as well for the Eagles, but still playing, being sub, all that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't be too hard on yourself, Costa. At SuperCoach, at times it's stupid coach. We know what it's like. But that's it, ladies and gents. We might leave things there. Really do appreciate all of your company. And whoop, look at that. Oh my Lord. Geez, I don't know what's happened to my my camera. Do not know what's happened to my camera. It goes like this at various stages. I don't know what the issue is. If I plug it, unplug it, and plug it back in, maybe that'll work. Maybe that'll work. Maybe. Let's see if it works. I just want to test this out. Okay, I don't know if you can hear me still. I think you can. Yep, I don't think the camera is working, is it? There we go. We're back. There we go. So it was just a little bit fuzzy. I think the camera just went wacko. But that's it, ladies and gents. We might leave things there. Thank you as always for joining me. As I said, really do appreciate all the kind words of encouragement and everything that you've left in the chat as well. Congratulations, everything else. So again, thank you one and all. And thank you for joining us for one of the live streams for the season. We might try and do these a little bit more regularly. I know there's quite a few other channels that do it as well, so we don't want to cramp other people's style and everything else. And it's a little bit hard for you to pick and choose as to who you want to watch. So yeah, tonight was just one of those things where I thought, jump on and see what's happening, and give back to you, con folk, that have been starved at a little bit of content from us in recent weeks, but again, for good reason. But no, it was good to jump on and have a chat with all of you out there. Hopefully you have started this round okay, if you're a non-Bont owner, that is. But all the very best for the round to come, and hopefully you can absolutely smash it. I'm hoping for it. I needed a bit of a nice week for once. Please. I mean, I've had an incredible couple of weeks with what's occurred in the personal life, but on the SuperCoach front, it's could be better. It could be better. But that's it, ladies and gents. Thanks as always for tuning in, and we will catch you on the flip side, post-round, Damo's Team Talk, and of course the return of SuperCoach Edge, the episode proper from week to week. So look out for that, and we will catch you in the next one. We'll see you then. Adios.